Hello and welcome to climbingarborist.com. My name is Dan Holliday, and in this video we're going to take a look at the brand new T542i XP from Husqvarna. In this video I'm going to compare the T542i XP to the previous T540i XP. What are the major differences? What are the minor differences between this saw and that saw? What are the advantages? I'm going to cover all of that. What are my first impressions after using this on a few little jobs? I've only used it on 2-3 jobs so far, so there's not an in-depth review based on months and months or years of experience. This is just the first look at it really. So I'll kind of take the saw apart and just give you a look around and what's changed, what's the same. And later in the video we'll also do some testing between the 540 and the 542 and actually get to hear and see the differences between cutting larger pieces of wood. So thank you for joining me and hope you enjoy this video.
Hello.
So these are the two saws, T542i XP, T540i XP. From the initial glance at the saws, it'd be hard to tell the difference between the two. They're basically the identical body. The switch panels are the same, side plates are the same, apart from this one says 542 and this one says 540. Obviously the main difference, which I'll get to in a minute, is this one has a clutch, this one is direct drive. But I'll cover the minor things that have changed, the minor details, because there aren't many really. This side plate, this side cover is slightly, this one stays the same width the entire length of the side plate, whereas the 540, obviously because it doesn't have the clutch there, it kind of tapers off. So that is like a minor little difference, is that side plate has changed. And obviously you can see the colour is different as well. I noticed the other day when I was putting the battery in that's changed, because I was like, it seemed stiffer to get the battery in, is that on the T540 there's like this one clip where the battery goes in and it kind of clips the, whatever you call them, the squeezy bits that you put in there. But on this side there isn't one. On the T542 it has that clip on both sides, so it has one there and it has one there, which is good, because if you've ever used the T540i or even the T536, which is the predecessor, the first battery chainsaw, the batteries, if you're climbing around the canopy, sometimes they can come loose. I don't think I've ever had one fall out, but I've definitely had them come loose, like on the edge of just about to fall. So I like that they've addressed that issue here. Another thing that they've added is on the display there's a little oil symbol, which is an identifier for low bar oil, but I understand that it isn't directly like a level indicator. It actually has a sensor on the flow of the bar oil coming through. So if you've got a full tank of oil but there's a blockage in the line, then it will indicate low level. So at first I thought that that sensor just wasn't very good, because it was flashing when it was full of oil. Then it kind of flashed again when it was like half full of oil and then disappeared. And now I kind of understand if it's based on sensing and on flow rate. Maybe it wasn't flowing through, but it disappeared quite quick. So I think at least you know if it's on and you've got a full thing of oil and it stays on, then you might have a blockage in the line, or the sensor might be crap. So I don't know if this is going to be annoying or if it's actually going to work and help, but because you're just replacing a battery, I feel like it gets forgotten more often than not to fill up with bar oil in these saws. So that is a good thing, even if it doesn't work as good as we hope it would. I think the fact that it flashes now and again will make you kind of double check your oil more often. A lot of you will probably know, but some of you might not know, is that this saw, rather than being direct drive, it has a centrifugal clutch like on gas powered chainsaws, or two-stroke if you don't say gas. So there's the centrifugal clutch, and if we take the side cover off the T540i, so this is basically the reason why they've brought out this new model of saw, is purely because of this clutch. So this is direct drive, this has a centrifugal clutch, and the main benefit here is if you've never used the T540i before, because it's direct drive, if ever it comes up against like too much resistance, and then it indicates to the saw that the motor is starting to overheat, it will pause. Mainly happens if you're cutting bigger bits of wood. So say you're cutting a 10-inch piece, and maybe it's like a hardwood, like something oak or something, and then you're going through it, and then it'll just stop, and then you have to wait for a few seconds before you can restart. And if you're doing piece after piece after piece, it might get a bit frustrating if it keeps stopping. So to negate that issue, the T542i has the centrifugal clutch, and the clutch, it can take a bit of that strain away from the motor being overheated. So as it starts to struggle and bog down, as the user, you'll be able to tell that, so you can kind of back off a little bit, and then go back in, and back off a little bit, go back in, just like you would do with a gas powered chainsaw, really. So you can just naturally hear it, and so it'll be more familiar. It'll be easier, more familiar to those people that use gas powered chainsaws more often, because you won't get that instant stop, start, stop, start. So when I first got this saw, the instant I pulled the trigger, it feels different. It feels more like pulling the trigger on a regular saw, the way that it picks up, and the way that when you let the finger off the throttle, it kind of slows down, whereas this is like, it picks up, but it's more like instant, and then you let go and it like stops quite instantly, whereas this is like the clutch smooths out the pickup and the rundown. With this saw that I've noticed, with this particular saw, I'm hoping, but maybe it's with every 542 that you get, is this clutch sounds like an old rusty old squeaky wheelbarrow. So if you listen to this, oh, that is horrible. And when you pull the trigger, that the initial movement before it starts really spinning up, yeah, it sounds like an old wheelbarrow. In the instruction manual, it does say that you can grease this shaft, which greases the bearings inside, or like that are around the shaft, and I'm hoping that's going to solve the problem, because it's absolutely driving me nuts at the moment. But I wanted to wait to grease it before I made this video, until I made this video. So it says put it on a stable surface, so I don't know, that's as stable as I'm going to get, I think. And then I think it just says push it down there. And what it has like the shaft has a couple of little holes in either side, like further down, where the grease will come out onto the bearing, I believe. God, there's loads of grease coming out there now. So what I'll do is I'll give that I'll start that up. That's actually fixed the problem. So if any of you guys get that real horrible wheelbarrow sound, old squeaky wheelbarrow, just grease that up. That solved the problem. It already comes with this dust screen on, which the old one didn't. It came with it in the box. So dust screen is on as standard, and I think it's weird because it has that hole where the screw goes, but there's no screw in there. So, it has the oil adjustment here. There's 3 settings: max, medium and low. This is one of my favourite things about both of these two saws, is this grey clip here, stiff grey clip for just putting on something like a Shembina or the butt clip, and then your lanyard goes onto the metal one. So don't put your lanyard onto the plastic one, put your lanyard onto the metal ring. Dead man's handle, or the safety handle, whatever you want to call it. I absolutely love this because it's the same on the T540i XP. You don't just put your hand on top of this and then pull it. That doesn't work. You have to actually slide this forward, and then you push it down, and then you can pull the trigger. And some people might see that and think, oh god, that's just so annoying, but like, you don't even think about it. It's just a habit to, like, when you grab the saw, you can almost, like, if your hand is there and you can just feel it instantly, you can't push it down, so you just push like that bit of your, I don't even know what this squidgy bit is even called, but you just like push that forward. There's got to be a technical term for that, hasn't there? Anyway, I'll find that out, maybe put it on the screen. Yeah, so the squidgy bit, you just push that forward. So I actually think that that's a great extra safety feature that doesn't take any extra effort to operate. On the screen, or the button and the screen combo, you got the on-off button and you got the e-save, so the like economy button. So if you're doing like pruning small stuff, then you can put the economy button on, and you won't need quite as much battery power, I suppose. Yeah, and I absolutely love the T540i XP. We have 3 of them. Yeah, I love the ergonomics of this saw, like the way that the handle's designed, and like the grips and the the thicker parts, and it's just so good. Husqvarna have done such an amazing job just on the ergonomics of this body, which is the same body as the T540i. So the whole purpose behind putting a clutch on the same saw is Husqvarna believe that this is more efficient because you don't get that stop-start. So they say that it's up to 10% more efficient. And what I would say, without using this for months or years, what I would say is, if you're using these saws predominantly on larger stuff, so say if you're the kind of person, climber, company that does tree removals quite often and uses battery chainsaws almost exclusively compared to gas powered chainsaws, and you're removing stuff, decent sized wood, quite a lot, then I think that's when this saw really will come into its own, and it will be that 10% more efficient, because you don't have that stop start of the T540. Me personally, the type of tree work that we do is predominantly residential stuff, and we do a whole mixture of pruning, small removals, larger removals. So we do like the whole range, so we're not always cutting big wood all of the time, but we do use battery top handle saws pretty much exclusively. So it'd be interesting to see, especially on the larger removals, if this is worth it really. So price difference in Canadian dollars, this is $919, I believe, 919 Canadian, and I think this is about $860, about $60 Canadian dollar difference. So maybe it might be like 45 US dollar difference. I mean, I can't say at the moment without extensive testing, is it worth the extra money? So time will tell that, I suppose. All right, I think it's time for some cut testing. Here is a quick word from our sponsor.
If you've not heard or used chip drop, then this could really help. Chip drop is exactly what it suggests. It finds you convenient places to drop your wood chip, very cheap or even for free. Not only does it save you cost on dump fees, but chip drop saves you travel time and fuel costs. The website is super simple and easy to use. Click the special link, sign up and find your next drop site. Let's get back to the video.
This is a bit of maple. I've strapped it to the bench so it doesn't move around too much. So first off, we're going to go with the 542i XP. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bar and chain off this and put it on the 540i XP when I do the test, so it's exactly the same. We're just going to see how well it cuts, if it bogs down. This is really where the difference should be clear, if there is any difference between, it's when you're cutting bigger stuff. So this is probably about 10-inch piece. So if you look at the bar there, yeah, about 9, 10, but yeah, probably about 10-inch diameter. I'll probably take like really thin slivers just so I can get quite a few, and then still have quite a few to do with the 540i, but I'll maybe do like 4 pieces. Yeah, see how it performs. So my thoughts after those cut tests. Well, definitely this deals with the bigger wood the better, and as the user it kind of gives the feedback to the users like if it's struggling or not. So as you hear it like struggling, you can back off a little bit, and it doesn't kind of just stop like you saw that the 540i did. So it's almost like, yeah, you're getting that truer sense of chainsaw use, and if you're a good user, it'll just be more instinctive, like when to back off, when it sounds like it's got back up to speed and you can go back in and put a bit more pressure on. The one thing I found out when I really pressed like super hard and dug in with the dogs, I heard it kind of spinning, like just for a split second, so I backed, like, because it kind of almost stopped cutting, and there was like, I could hear like the drive motor spinning inside. With the 540i, there was less feedback in terms of like, I mean, you can still hear if it starts to struggle, but then there'll be a point where it just stops because the motor's like overheated. Whereas with that, like the clutch plays, I think the clutch plays the role between the cutting and the motor overheating. So it's kind of like this intermediary, shares the, I don't know what it would be, sharing out the torque or the stress or something, but it helps the user be able to like gauge, right, back off a little bit, and I think that's where this 10% figure that Husqvarna have stated comes from. If you're doing bigger wood, then you're going to spend more time cutting and less time bogging down and the electric motor stopping and then starting and then stopping and starting. It's going to be more of a flow, and obviously as climbers, you know, flowing through, just, you know, not being stop start is how you can be most efficient. And you don't want like frustration, because that's where frustration slows you down. Frustration causes mistakes and that kind of stuff. So I kind of see on bigger timber where that figure of more efficiency comes from. Thanks very much for watching this. I hope you've actually found that really useful, and I hope that's given you a good insight into this new chainsaw, and where the benefits lie, and if it's worth purchasing one, paying that bit extra money. So yeah, as always, appreciate you all. Climb safe out there, and see you on the next video. Thank you. Bye.